It was raining, the kind that makes you want to stay inside with a warm drink and forget the world. But not everyone has that luxury. In a modest cafe tucked between a pharmacy and a laundromat in Eugene, Oregon, one woman did something small but unforgettable. Tasha Melrose, a 29-year-old waitress, had been working double shifts all week. Her sneakers were soaked, her apron damp, but she moved through the lunch rush like it was just another day. She handled table 6's missing fries, boxed an order for takeout, and calmed down Lily, the high school senior who looked like she might cry under the pressure. Behind the counter, manager Clayton Renshaw watched with his arms folded, always ready with a sharp word. But when Tasha noticed an old man at the door, thin, cold, wearing worn clothes and a faded military jacket, she didn't hesitate. He looked lost. No one else saw him. She did. She guided him to a booth, brought him a blanket, and ordered a plate of meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and extra gravy. She paid for it herself, out of her tips. And then, without warning, the storm broke. Clayton stepped forward, voice tight with disapproval. "You want to feed the whole damn street too? You working for charity now?" The cafe went quiet. Nearby tables listened. Tasha kept her tone even. "He's a veteran. He looked hungry. I did what any decent person would do." Clayton leaned in, lowering his voice just enough to sound dangerous. "You don't decide who gets free food. I do. And when you break rules, there are consequences." Then, louder this time, he called out, "Attention, folks. This employee just handed out a free meal on our dime. Just so we're clear, if anyone else needs a handout, ask Tasha. She'll foot the bill." The room fell silent. Utensils paused mid-air. Someone laughed awkwardly. Tasha's heart sank, but she didn't say a word. The veteran tried to speak, but Clayton waved him off. Then came the words no one expected. "You're done, Melrose. Turn in your apron and get out." Tasha stood still for a moment, stunned, not by being fired, but by how it was done. Publicly, shamefully, like kindness was a crime. The veteran looked up, eyes misty. "She didn't do anything wrong," he said quietly. "I didn't mean to cause trouble." Clayton waved him off again. "Sir, please eat your food and stay out of staff business." But the man didn't sit back down. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a purple heart pin, bent, worn, unmistakable. "I served in Korea," he said. "Most of my unit didn't make it. My boys, they'd never let this stand." Tasha stepped forward gently. "Now please, sir, you don't owe me anything. Just finish your meal, okay?" He placed the pin on the edge of the table and whispered almost to himself, "They'll come. They always come." Tasha untied her apron, folded it carefully, and walked out. She didn't cry. Not there, not in front of him. She just walked out, head high, heart heavy. Back inside, Louise, the cook, muttered, "This isn't right." Lily stood frozen behind the counter. The veteran sat quietly chewing slowly, like every bite held back a memory he wasn't sure he could handle. Outside, the rain picked up again. Tasha sat near the bus stop, still holding her folded apron, staring at nothing. Back inside, Clayton strutted around like he'd won something, but not everyone shared that view. Customers whispered, one couple left. Lily wiped her eyes. The veteran remained seated, unaware of the shift already beginning. What came next, none of them could have predicted. Customers began to react. Some filmed quietly, others walked out. Rumors spread among regulars, social media buzzed. Inside, Clayton tried to regain control, but the mood had shifted. The veteran finished his meal, placed the purple heart pin on the table, and whispered, "They'll come." Meanwhile, Tasha waited outside, replaying the moment in her mind. Her phone buzzed. Messages from friends, family, even a co-worker. Word was spreading. Kindness doesn't always make headlines. But when it does, people start paying attention. And sometimes all it takes is one act to change everything. Inside the cafe, the atmosphere grew heavier. A woman at the bar discreetly filmed the entire scene. Louise muttered under his breath, "I heard what she did. It's not a crime." Clayton snapped back, "You want to go too?" Louise looked at Tasha's empty seat and shrugged. "Just saying she helped me close more than once." Reggie, a frequent customer, sipped his coffee silently. The veteran sat quietly, eating what he could. His hands shook. Sometimes he'd stop chewing and just stare at his plate. His coat had fallen open, revealing medals sewn inside, barely holding together. Some customers whispered, recognizing that this wasn't just some old man looking for warmth. He was someone who had done something. Clayton noticed the attention, but doubled down. "We're not a soup kitchen," he muttered under his breath. The bell above the door jingled. Then again, and again. 4 sharp, heavy steps echoed across the floor, 4 silhouettes, broad shoulders, boots, uniforms. One of them had a sleeve with stripes high enough to catch the attention of anyone who'd served. They weren't carrying weapons. They didn't need to. Their presence alone carried more weight than any rule book. Sergeant Reuben Cole scanned the room, eyes stopping on the veteran by the window. "Sir," he said firmly, "we got your message." The old man turned slowly, lips parted, eyes clearer than they'd been all day. "I didn't mean to cause trouble," he said. "She got fired for feeding me." The Marine nodded. "Yes, sir, we heard. We came to make sure that kind of thing doesn't go unanswered." Clayton stepped forward, fake smile loaded. "Can I help you, gentlemen?" The second Marine, taller, eyes like stone, looked him over. "You're the one in charge here?" "I am," Clayton replied, "and I'd appreciate if you didn't interfere with my staff or my policies." The third Marine cut in. "Your staff included a woman who gave up her own money to help a veteran. That's not interference. That's character." Clayton's voice lost a bit of steam. "This is a business. We have rules. She broke them." The first Marine, a captain, judging by the pins, took one step forward. "You fired a woman for showing compassion to a man who put his life on the line for this country, a man we all know and respect. You humiliated her, not just in front of your staff, but in front of strangers. Now, you want to hide behind policy?" "It's not personal," Clayton insisted. "Sure looked personal," the Marine replied. A customer cleared his throat near the front. "She's been working here for years. She's always kind. She remembers people's names. She remembers how I take my coffee more than I can say for anyone else." Then a young guy in a hoodie added, "She's the reason I come here, not for the food." Lily stepped forward slowly. "She helps me close even when it's not her shift. She walks me to my car when it's dark. She's the only reason I didn't quit after my first week." Clayton looked around. His grip on control was slipping fast. "I'm not going to stand here and get ganged up on in my own cafe," he snapped. "We're not here to gang up," the captain said evenly. "We're here to speak up. Big difference." Louise leaned out from the kitchen again, this time with his apron off. "I'm going to take my break. maybe a long one. The veteran sat quietly watching. His eyes welled up. "I didn't mean to make this happen," he murmured again. "You didn't," the captain replied. "You just reminded us what matters." Back outside, Tasha sat at the edge of the bus bench, her apron still folded neatly in her lap like it meant something. Her hand shook, but not from cold. She wasn't mad about being fired. What stung was the way it happened, like her kindness was a problem that needed to be stamped out in public. She stared at the puddle in front of her, watching cars roll by without looking up. She didn't know what hurt more, the embarrassment or the silence from her co-workers as she walked out. She expected at least one person to speak up. Louise, maybe. Lily. But nothing. Then her phone buzzed. A message from her older sister asking if they were still good for dinner Sunday. She didn't answer back. Inside, things were unraveling quickly. Clayton tried to hold the room together. "Okay, everybody," he said with an artificial grin. "Let's get back to your meals. Show's over. We're not turning this place into a circus." But it was already too late. People had seen what they saw, and they weren't about to forget it. A woman sitting by the window stood up slowly. Her name was Jean Harlow, a retired nurse. "I was in nursing school during the Gulf War," she said clearly. "My brother came home in a flag-covered box. That old man in the booth, he could have been him. And that waitress, she acted better than you ever will, son." Clayton looked like someone had slapped him. Another customer, an Uber driver named Reggie Mathers, spoke next. "I've been coming here since it opened. Never had a problem with anyone except you. You don't lead people by belittling them. You lead by example." Someone clapped, then someone else. It wasn't a standing ovation. It was quiet, awkward, but real. Clayton was losing grip fast. This was his place. He decided what went and what didn't. One of the Marines stepped toward him. "Sir, no one's questioning your right to run your business. We're questioning the way you did it. You could have pulled her aside. You could have asked a question. Instead, you humiliated her." Clayton threw up his hands. "How much did the plate cost you?" Jean answered. $10? 12? No response. "How much do you think this will cost you when that video hits Facebook?" She pointed to the customer recording everything. Clayton glanced at her. His jaw moved like he wanted to speak, but didn't. Louise came back out from the kitchen, wiping his hands on a towel. "You've been writing us for years like we're lucky to be here. Tasha never treated any of us that way." Lily's voice cracked. "She helped me get my brakes fixed. Paid half? I didn't even ask." There it was. The weight of the room had shifted completely. Clayton stood in a space that used to be his, but no longer belonged to him. He scanned the room, eyes narrowed. "All of you think you're heroes now, huh? You think she's some kind of saint?" No one answered. That was louder than any response. In the booth, the veteran gently folded his napkin and placed it on the plate. He reached for the Purple Heart pin, but one of the Marines stopped him. "Leave it," he said softly. "It belongs here now." The old man nodded once. "Tell her thank you," he whispered. "Tell her my boys never forget." Then he stood, slower than most, but still with dignity, and followed the Marines out. As the door closed behind them, the entire cafe felt different. Heavier, somehow. Clayton stared at the napkin on the plate, then the pin. He said nothing, but outside, someone else was already waiting. The black Chevy Suburban rolled to a quiet stop outside the cafe. The rain had faded to a mist, barely clinging to the windshield. It idled for a moment before the doors opened, one after another. 4 men stepped out, Marines who'd been through things and come out the other side. Sergeant Cole led the group, scanning the cafe windows without saying a word. He walked in, followed by the others. The bell rang just the same, but the moment they stepped inside, the energy shifted, like someone had unplugged the room. Reggie, still at the corner table, whispered, "Those ain't tourists." Clayton froze mid-step. The paper in his hand hung limp. His eyes bounced from one uniform to the next. Sergeant Cole looked around, then spotted the empty booth where the veteran had just been sitting. He stood there in silence for 3 seconds, maybe 4. Then he turned to the room. Who fired the woman who gave him this plate? No one answered. Cole didn't raise his voice. He didn't have to. He turned again, this time toward the counter. "You?" he asked, locking eyes with Clayton. "You fired her?" Clayton swallowed hard. "I don't know what this is about," Cole interrupted. "You know exactly what this is about." The tallest of the Marines, Walter Haggerty, stepped closer. "He served with our unit's grandfather in Vietnam, the man who taught us what it meant to be brothers. When he called one of our guys saying he'd been helped by someone who showed more loyalty than he'd seen in years and then got fired for it, we made time." Clayton laughed nervously. "This is getting blown way out of proportion. She broke policy. She gave away food without permission." The Marine with the scar folded his arms. "You know how many policies get broken when someone's life is on the line? When a decision has to be made in real time? We were taught to lead by example. Sounds like she was too." Another Marine pointed to the Purple Heart. "That pin doesn't belong on your table. It belongs to people who understand sacrifice. Clearly, that ain't you." Customers remained silent. Some pulled out phones. Some just watched. Tasha, from the bench outside, couldn't see exactly what was going on. But when she noticed the veterans inside, she stood up instinctively. She didn't recognize any of them, but something told her she was involved in this, whether she liked it or not. She stepped closer to the window and saw the booth, empty except for the plate and the pin. Her breath caught in her throat. Back inside, Clayton tried one last time to reclaim control. "I'm not here to be lectured. This is my business. You don't like it? Don't eat here." Cole nodded once. "Fair. But just know, we don't forget either. And we don't stay quiet when someone disrespects one of our own, or someone who protects them." The Marine with the scar leaned in just enough for Clayton to hear him clearly. "You fired the wrong one." But they weren't the only ones who showed up that day. Word was already spreading, and the next voices were even closer to home.